Hey guys, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel.
Today we're going to look at a market update for September of 2023.
In today's video, it's going to be super significant because we've refined the way we're sharing our statistics and data to you. And the reason why we're doing this is because we feel it's going to provide more education and valuable insight on what's currently happening in the market. Just with less inventory, less sales, it becomes a little bit more difficult to share with you exactly what's happening. And we feel that the way we're doing this moving forward is going to help you. And make sure before we go any further to stick around to the end of this video, because we have a really hot topic to discuss in pre-construction hotel condo sales that you don't want to miss. So let's get into talking about what happened in September.
Sure, so we're going to talk a little bit about September as a whole. So all of the data inside of the market, not necessarily specifics. We will get into specific markets as we get on in the video. So in the month of September, we had 130 active listings, 56 new in the month of September. Units sold were 33. The average list price was 1.340 and change, and the average sale price was 1.317 and change. The sold to ask ratio is 98%. The average square foot price, again, this is on the market as a whole, is $729.79 a square foot. The average days on the market was 75. And again, we'll get into that, why that's changed a little bit, you know, based on what we're doing. And then the average month supply is 3.21. So that is the market snapshot for September of 2023.
And we'll get into talking about a little bit more about what this data means moving forward. If you guys are finding this content valuable, make sure you smash that like button as well as the subscribe button. And we feel it really helps people benefit from this content and get educated on what we feel is one of the best markets in Canada.
Absolutely. So let's talk about specific property types. So apartment units, there was 9 sold in the month of September for an average sale price of $636,788. The average sale price was $617,666. The sold to ask ratio is 97% for apartments. The average price per square foot is $608, and the average days on market was 55.
For townhouses, we had an average list price of just over 1.1 million and an average sale price of just under 1.1 million. The average sold to ask ratio was coming in at 98%. And the average price per square foot was $657. The average days on the market for those townhouses in September was 52 days.
Perfect. So on to single family homes. There was 6 sold in September for an average sale price of just over 2.4. The average list price was just over 2.4. The average sale price was 2.33. Sold to ask ratio is 96%. The price per square foot is $791 and change, and the average days on the market for single family homes was 80.
Moving into our half duplexes, for the month of September, we saw 5 sales for an average list price of just over 2.2 million. The average sale price was just coming under 2.2 million for an average sold to ask ratio of 99%. So still seeing quite strong ratios there for the half duplex. The average price per square foot was coming in at just over $686 a square foot. And our average days on the market, 164 days.
Right, so, which is interesting because we're getting 99% sold to ask ratio, but they're taking a lot longer to sell, which is pushing our days on market as a whole up to that 75, which we were talking about.
100%.
We'll get into hotel condos. There was no lots or acreages sold in the area. We'll get into hotel condos. So hotel condos, there was 3 units sold. For the average list price was $766,000. The average sale price was $818,500. Now keep in mind, the sale price usually almost always includes the 5% GST. So that's why that number is, 107% of sold to ask ratio. So if you want details on how that works and what that looks like, because in tourist home it's going to be much the same.
Yeah.
You know, we can provide that to you. Just reach out to us, and you know, we can go through those, because it can be a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
Just to get into too much detail, maybe we can do a video on that one day.
Yeah.
Talking about that.
Yeah.
The average price per square foot, this is where it gets a little bit crazy, is just 1,052, just over that per square foot, and the average days on the market is 65.
Yeah, and that average price per square foot's also going to be inclusive of the GST as well.
Yeah.
So just something to be aware of. And then one thing too is when we're talking about these prices, our average list price, those are exclusive of GST, and then sale price is always inclusive of GST. So one thing that we feel that we have that's of value is we have a system that provides active listings to clients who are interested in these properties that doesn't mix up the GST on the list price.
Yeah.
When you see it on realtor.ca, it's going to have GST inclusive on there. So connect with us, because we feel like it's very much of value to people to see that and get a better idea of what the place is actually worth, rather than making it up in their head.
Right, because there are different ways of handling GST, and obviously you want to talk to your accountant or professional advisor in that instance to figure out how to handle the GST going forward. So.
Yeah. Tourist homes, we'll talk about those. 2 units were sold in the month of September for an average list price of just over $818,000. The average sale price on those tourist homes coming in at just over $868,000. The average sold to ask ratio 106%, so still really good numbers. And the average price per square foot at about $1,004. Average days on the market, $76. 76 days.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, our hotel, condo, tourist homes, you know, even if you back that 5% off, they're still, you know, selling for pretty close to 100% of asking price, if not a little bit over. But what we want to do is talk about these pre-sales.
Yeah.
So this is what we really wanted to get into, and why we feel like the data is more significant to people now for what's happening currently. Previously, we've had a bunch of pre-sales in the specific hotel, condo property designation that was kind of throwing our numbers for a loop of what's actually happening in the market. And so for the month of September, we saw 19 new pre-sales for sold listings. So those, typically what happens is they get listed and then they get marked sold immediately in one day. And so then it throws the days on the market, the average sale price, all these things for a loop. And what's super substantial about these new builds is the price per square foot that they're selling at. And that's almost $1,400 a square foot.
Yeah,
so
like $1,354.
13.54.
Now, keep in mind, that does have the GST on it.
Yeah.
So that gets backed out, but no different than we were talking about the hotel, condo and stuff.
Yeah.
But you're basically predicting that the market, when these things come to market 2 to 3 years from now, are going to be, you know, worth that.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of crazy.
I
to
do
be
too.
honest with you.
Like an extra $300 a square foot people are paying for these. Is crazy.
And keep in mind what I think we're seeing a lot of times in these new pre-sales, and these pre-sales are the short-term rental pre-sales. So the hotel, condo, tourist zones. So what we're seeing in those pre-sales is the units are a lot smaller than, you know, typically what we see here. So while, you know, you're still getting a 2-bedroom, but if the average square foot of a normal 2-bedroom was 800, some of them are 650. So that's driving the square foot price up. Now, you may be able to realize some of that in, you know, you're still having 2 bedrooms. They're just a lot smaller units, a lot of them. We're not discouraging people from looking at the pre-sales, but it's just something to keep in mind that the used market right now is still a really, you know, really substantially better buy.
And realistically, like if these pre-sales are selling at this price per square foot, assuming that's what they're, you know, obviously worth, people are paying for them, they're going like wildfire. the used market is eventually going to get to that price point once these things are, completed.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you, but I have a tendency to think about, even on like a financial market basis, right?
Yeah.
Are you really trying to time that market to think that that's the price? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I look at it going, yeah, I do think that there's growth in Canmore. We've talked about that on our podcasts and our meetings and in our videos and our market updates. I think that Canmore's set to grow, especially after, the news last week with the appeal with the Three Sisters stuff and that stuff looking like it's going to, take shape and go forward.
Yep.
We're going to grow. So growth will definitely create, momentum and appreciation and all those things. And historically we've done that here, but I'm nervous about that 1354 short term.
Yeah.
In a couple of years or some of these are going to come in next year even, right? Possession of these. And so I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I think long term we're going to be okay here in Canmore.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So if you want some more information on those pre-construction hotel condos, connect with us. They're currently all pre-sold. There's none existing right now.
Yeah.
And we get that question a lot. So if you do want to go on like a list or you want to be informed of when these new projects are coming to market, let us know and we can gladly keep an eye out on that stuff for you. Let's talk about the rise in month's end inventory. So in September, end of September, we had 130. And then the end of August, we had 114.
Yeah.
So we are seeing some more product come to market, which kind of what we projected last month we were going to see as a trend. I think it's probably going to continue to build off that maybe a little bit.
I agree. I think we're still seeing a lot of activity with the buyers.
Yeah.
There's still lots of people looking.
Yeah.
It's really tough because you read the news or hear the news and this whole interest rate thing and it rising. Maybe Parker, talk a little bit about the kind of what we heard from the conference in Vancouver. It was kind of third party to us, but an analysis that's really well known talked a little bit about inflation and that. I mean, I think that's probably important to talk about because I think when you look at the rise of months inventory, that technically when you end up with more inventory, prices tend to come down. I'm not sure we're going to see that because of kind of what we've heard there.
Yeah, it's really interesting. They were heavily saying that based on the statistics that they see, that our inflation has already substantially decreased. And as a direct result of that, kind of in the next year, probably projecting interest rates to come back down.
Yeah.
Now we had a mortgage broker come into the office this past Tuesday, talk about some statistics as well, and kind of got into the whole recession thing and how that could actually potentially benefit Canmore, which is crazy to think that would be the case. But I think in general, whatever happens with interest rates, I'm no economist or anything like that. That's definitely not my area of expertise. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe another quarter point basis increase. That wouldn't
I would agree with
shock
that.
me. But I do think we're kind of coming to the point where, they kind of want to see what's going to unfold over the next little while, and then they potentially start coming down again. What's fearful for me is, in the next 2 or 3 years, the repercussions of those people who got in on fixed rates at that 2%.
3 years ago, right at 2%, and the refinance of those.
So, I mean, if the rates are as high as they are now, and all these people are coming out for refinancing, I think it's just going to be crazy. What might happen there. So,
I think we're still looking at a 2-year window there to see what happens. I would suspect that interest rates will once inflation levels out and they see that happening. My experience with interest rates and inflation is the government tends to overshoot. Right, both ways. On the way down, They're like, okay, go down, go down, go down, and then on the way up, go up, go up, go up. There doesn't seem to be any consistency in it, so I think we can take that out of it, that it's not consistent. So what we're giving you here is more of our opinion than you know, complete what's going to happen. So I do think we are in a little bit of a bubble here in Canmore, and I think we'll continue to be that way.
Yep. Let's maybe talk about a little bit more of a positive here. Average sale price year to date. We've increased 6.7% from 2022. And then do you want to talk about what happened from 2021?
Yeah, so from 2021, we're up 25%. So that's a positive. You know, I think if you can get the 6 or 7% growth over the year, that's pretty solid. And then of course, coming out of COVID, we had that really good year. So yeah.
And then we just have one quick reminder here that I want to touch on, that if any of our clients or anybody have homes in Canmore that are not currently their primary residence, that you have to file by October 31st, because you're going to get that underused housing tax deadline. So that's just a reminder for people who this isn't their primary residence.
Get some legal advice on that, and make sure you file and talk to your accountants and so on and so forth. That's a really good point that got brought up in our meeting there the other day. So I think the biggest thing we wanted to, you know, the hook, or we wanted to talk about those pre-sales and how you know, the number seems really a little bit crazy to us, and how we've changed how we're going to do things going forward to give you more accurate data. So we're knocking out the pre-sales on our data. We'll give you the pre-sales for sure and let you know what's going on in that market. But I think they're kind of two separate markets, because pre-sales, like Parker said, they come on the market that day, they go off. So number one, it throws out your days on market. Which can be significant, as you will know if you look at our other videos. Now, we were talking about 30 to 40 day markets, and really we're in a 75-day market. So I think that's the biggest change, and that's the biggest thing we wanted to make sure we reiterated to you guys, because we're always learning, and we want to update you guys with the most current data we can, for sure.
100%. And this is just the best way to do it, 100%. And we're going to continue this trend moving forward. As far as what we see kind of happening in the market, maybe moving forward, I think this has kind of been covered, but we're still kind of holding pretty strong. Even though our days on market are up, that is kind of a reflection of those half duplexes, but there is some stuff that's moving like fairly quickly, and again, it's coming down to price points.
I think we're seeing prices tighten up, and I think we're seeing buyers being a little bit more educated and maybe waiting a little bit longer. We're not seeing the multiple offers. We're seeing a few price reductions, but unless we see a massive increase in active inventory, I don't see our prices, you know, dropping tremendously over the short term.
And I think the best part about this data that we're able to provide is it directly reflects what properties should sell for and for what price they should be listed for. And that way buyers know exactly what they're getting
Very
into.
Educated, right?
Whereas during COVID, I mean, we could give you the numbers, but it didn't matter because it was all up to what people were willing to pay. And now people are relying on the data a little bit more heavily. So obviously different sectors of single family homes and townhouses and apartments are different. You know, if you're comparing Three Sisters to Spring Creek, those price per square foots are going to be slightly adjusted, but at least you have a general consensus and overview of what's currently happening in the market.
I think to that point too is you know, we're seeing a 98% sold ask ratio of the market on a whole. But if you're looking at a specific market, those numbers can vary a little bit. So make sure that you reach out to us and figure out what that actual number looks like inside of the specific type of property that you're looking for.
Right on. Well, I think that wraps up our breakdown. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking and subscribing to the channel. It is greatly appreciated from both of us. And as pointed out earlier, stay tuned for more content that we're going to have coming out soon. We're going to have some more videos just on Canmore as a whole, not necessarily real estate specific all the time. So we look forward to sharing that with you, and we'll catch you next month. Cheers.